Well, hello out there in internet land. My name is Alan Cousins, and today we're going to look at Qivana or Qivana. I'm not 100% sure how you pronounce it, but I've been in this industry for over 14 years, and I review a lot of these companies. And Qivana is a nutritional product company, and I actually have a degree in human physiology. And to be perfectly honest with you, most of the time I would try to stay away from nutritional product companies within this industry if I was looking for a home business opportunity. And the reason for that is because there's so many of them and there's so many different products, and they all have their own, medical doctor testimonials and piles of research and endorsements and things like that. They're all the greatest for whatever reason, right? And it gets very difficult for the consumer to tell the difference between these things. And most consumers, if you give them a product from 10 different companies and they start taking it, all 10 of them are going to feel better. And all 10 of them, most likely, are not going to be able to tell the difference from one to the other. Now, there's a couple points on this. Now, for myself, I try to stay away from nutritional product companies. It doesn't necessarily mean that should be your viewpoint, because different people have different passions, and there are some people who are really excited about helping people get better and helping people get well and things like that. The one thing I would point out with that is that it's not necessarily the true that, because you went to the webinar and you heard about all the great research and the miracle stories, that particular product, for whatever reason, is the greatest in the world. But what happens is, because of the way our society is, literally almost everyone is malnourished. In the United States, anyway. You see, our soils are depleted, our diets are terrible. Most people eat fast food on the way to and from work, 2, 3, 5 days a week, 7 days a week. The cheap food is the food that doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it. You almost can't even find real food these days, like locally farmed vegetables, organic vegetables that are not loaded with chemicals and things like that. And most of our food products are coming from large subsidized government farms these days, and basically they're just pounding chemical fertilizers into the soil. Well, the problem is, like, the soil in its native state had more than just like the 3 or 4 chemical compounds in it to grow vegetables, and the vegetables look nice. I mean, the tomatoes are big and they're firm and they don't get bruised so easy because they've genetically modified and all this great stuff, but it's not really a tomato. I mean, if you had the good fortune to have anyone in your family when you were growing up that actually had a real farm or a real garden with real tomato, you almost can't even find real tomato seeds these days. The tomatoes now that you buy in the store, they're not the same. Their skins are very tough and thick, and there's not a lot of vitamins in them. They don't taste the same. They taste kind of cardboardy, and that's just kind of what's happening with the food supply. So anyway, to make a long story short, you get millions and millions and millions of people who are all malnourished. And what happens when you're malnourished? You get various health problems, yes? Why? Because your body needs certain compounds in order to heal itself, and if it can't heal, you get a problem in that area. So we get this huge industry cropping up of nutritional supplement products, and the people who are starting these kinds of companies are people who are aware of this sort of thing. But to make it short, what happens is you get these miracles happening, right? You get story, and I talk to these people all the time because I'm in the network marketing industry. You get stories from people about why you should join that opportunity because they had a leg, they couldn't move their leg, and they had terrible back pain in their lower back, and they got to the point where they couldn't even lift their grandkids and this type of thing, and they started drinking this juice or taking this product or whatever it was, and 6 months later now they're out golfing again, and they can carry their grandkids around, and it's wonderful stuff. It really is. But it's not necessarily because that product is like some miracle herb or whatever it is from the western hills of China where everybody lives to be 150 years old. It's just that bodies don't have what they need to survive these days. You've got 7 billion people in the world that need to be fed, and there's just some logistical and chemical problems that come from that. So supplementation is needed by everyone. So that's good because you get results with the product, and when you have a person who gets results, they don't ever leave, you see. So that's one plus. The only thing you have to realize about that, I guess, is if they find something cheaper and they try it, chances are it's going to have the similar effect. So if your products are overpriced, your customer base may not last very long, you see. But now there's a couple points on this, and I don't want to belabor this and take this out any longer than it needs to, because I want to look at this from the standpoint of someone who's considering Qivana. like as an opportunity to build a business. And I know there's millions of people right now rushing out onto the internet trying to find ways to make a living from home. And it is a viable business model. It really is. That's been proven over years and years and years, and tons of companies who have a model like this. That's not a question. But the question is that you really have to ask yourself is kind of what are you cut out for, what are you capable of, and what would be the easiest thing for you to do. Now, having a viable business model doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easy. Just the same way that opening any McDonald's or any dry cleaner or any other type of business is going to be easy. You're going to have to promote, and you're going to have to be able to develop relationships with people, because in this industry, it's not quite the same as just having a retail store. You see, in this industry, your income is really going to depend, the bulk of it is going to depend on your ability to recruit others into your organization. And really, anybody who tells you anything different is lying to you. Now, in the beginning, with a business like this, you're going to be focused mainly on selling the products. You're going to contact everyone you know, and you're going to get them using the products, and the ones that have good results and the ones who like them, they're going to stick on the products, and at some point they'll be so sold on the products and so dedicated to them that you'll approach them with the idea that they could become an associate and just automatically have their products shipped to them each month, and they'll get a discount on them, and if they run into anyone else who has an interest, they can sell them at a profit. 99.9% of the people you bring into this business, that's how you're going to get them with a nutritional model. If you're like the typical, I'm just getting started network marketer. Okay? And it's going to take maybe, the business plans on these are like 2 to 5 years. I think 5 years is probably more realistic for the average person, the person who maybe has a day job and some kids at home, and they're just kind of doing part-time here and there. You're really going to have to stick to it and be very patient for a business like this to grow. And you may find after 5 or 6 years, okay, well, I've got a sizable business here. Maybe I can leave my day job, or whatever the situation may be. Now, there was actually a reason, change gears here a little bit, that I was looking at Qivana, and Qivana does have something that's a little bit unique among these companies, okay? And see, I am not big on the medical establishment at all, okay? But these products are based on some research done by Marcus Lowe, or Laux, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I think it's probably Lowe, who's a naturopath. And he actually, there's a 3-step strategy here: stabilize, vitalize, and optimize strategy, which has to do with getting the flora in your intestine corrected with probiotics, and then just basically core essential nutrients into your body, and then cleansing the body. And just based on a lot of research I've done myself, those 3 steps are correct. I mean, as far as what can be established by current research, they're right on spot with that. And I would be willing to bet that even if you're a person who takes daily multivites, like some cheap one-a-days or something, and you put yourself on this program, it would make a huge difference for you. So that was one thing that I noticed about this. They've got that 3-step deal, and it's just a little bit different from what a lot of these companies are doing. I mean, some companies are just selling a juice, and that juice has a couple nutrients that maybe a lot of people are deficient in. Okay. Now, as far as the business goes, if you look at something like the compensation plan, this compensation plan is not particularly high paying. I mean, it's pretty typical for an MLM compensation plan. Okay. You need $100 worth of purchase volume every month, so basically you're either selling or buying that. Okay, it's on an auto ship, which you see here, and you've got various bonuses, like the matching bonuses on this require you sponsor 4 active independent business owners. And if you're familiar with the MLM industry, these are pretty typical. Okay, the payouts, I guess what I'm saying is you're going to have to do quite a bit of business to make a decent amount of money with this. I mean, there's other programs out there, not nutritional programs, that just pay way more. Of course, you're looking at, like, what do you feel good about, right? Do you feel good about these products, and is this something you would recommend to your grandmother you see. And these are products that can make a difference in people's lives. But at the same time, you have to make a buck. Okay? So after doing this for 14 years, there's a couple things I'd like to share with you that may really be beneficial to you if you're in Qivana or if you're looking at a Qivana business. Now, here's what you're going to find. If you've been in this industry for few years, you're going to find like the average person is going to be broke. Okay? And the reason for that is because almost all of them, they don't know how to grow this type of a business. The average person, they're going to get started. They're going to talk to everyone they know. They're going to try to get them on the products, almost like as doing you a favor, right? And out of that group of people, some of them are going to really like the products, and maybe a couple of them here and there will join. And you try to pay that whole strategy forward. That's kind of how network marketing has grown over the years, but that strategy has really only done one thing, and what that is it has moved product for the company. This compensation plan is not really designed to make the reps rich. This compensation plan is designed to really just pay you enough to cover the cost of your vitamins so you keep buying your vitamins every single month. No offense to Qivana. It's a great company. That's just how the business model is set up. Here and there you'll find someone who's going to knock the cover off the ball and they're just going to do a phenomenal job of promotion. But most people are absolutely clueless about it. And after doing it for years and years and years, there's just a couple things I'd like to point out to you. One is there's only two things you should be focusing on if you plan on making money. Okay? And those things are very simple. And basically, these were things I figured out way back in 1998 before we were ever even using the internet, and they still apply today even using the internet. So let's quickly cover those. So the two things you want to be focusing your attention on, and I'm within a time frame here, so we're going to do this quickly. The first one is just contacting new people. On the internet, we call this traffic. And the reason we call it traffic is because that's the number of people visiting your website. So the more people you get visiting your website, the more new contacts you're making. The same principle applies offline. Okay? Most people don't do this. The second thing you want to do is you want to follow up with the people who are interested only. Only with the people who are interested. What am I talking about? Okay, the average guy is going to go out and he's going to talk to everyone that he knows. He's going to start making lists of people he sees at the gas station, the woman who cuts his hair, cousins he hasn't talked to in 5 years. And he's going to try to beat them to death or beg them to join him so he can make some money. That's the absolute wrong way to do it. And it's a complete and colossal waste of time. Okay? But most people are completely clueless as to how to set themselves up so they can just do these two things. Now I want you to consider a different strategy. Let's say instead of spending hours and hours trying to convince people that you know already or people you barely know that they need to join something, how about instead we spend that time contacting new people? You got to work with this idea. If I contact 1,000 people, out of that 1,000 people with almost no pushing at all, I'm going to have a certain percentage who will be interested and will look at it on their own. If I only work with the 50 people that I already know, maybe a couple of them will join. The rest of them I'm going to waste all my time trying to beat them over the head and follow up with them to get them to join to get no results. So what you want to do is you want to follow up only with the people who are interested. Now the problem is that this requires some degree of automation. It doesn't mean you have to be a technical expert. It doesn't mean you have to invest a whole bunch of money in complicated systems and go to college and learn how to do all this stuff. It just means that you need some sort of a way to handle your follow-up with people so that you can filter out those who are actually interested in what you have to offer. Once you can do that, and it's not that difficult, I actually teach people how to do that. Once you can do that, your job becomes step 1, step 2, step 1, step 2, step 1, step 2. Okay? And this is completely backwards from how most people do it. And I'm telling you, if you don't believe me now, stick around this industry for 5 years and see what you see. Almost everybody is not doing this. Almost everybody continues to bother the people that they already have relationships with instead of spending their time contacting new people. If you contact enough new people, and you can do it manually, if you contact enough new ones, you're going to find people who are interested. You're just going to. That's just the way that it is. The problem is you do not have enough time to follow up with everyone that you're contacting. And I will promise you one thing, you do not have enough time to follow up with everyone that you contact. If you spend your time doing that, you're going to lose money, I guarantee. Why? Because there's only so many minutes in the day. You need to spend your minutes contacting people. Every single day you have to contact new people, whether it's 5 new people, 10, 100, 1,000, whatever it is, by whatever means you can, you've got to contact new people every single day. If you spend your time following up the people you've already contacted, you'll lose money, but most people don't know how to do that. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in a free lesson. If you click the link below the video, I'll give you access. Go there now.